Before the story starts, tell me one thing. From which country are you watching this right now? Because no matter where you're from, pain like this feels the same everywhere. I grew up in a house that everyone thought was beautiful. White walls, fresh paint, flowers on the porch. From the outside, it looked like peace. But inside, it was a battlefield where love never existed. My mother ruled that house like a queen with no mercy. Her voice could slice through silence, and her anger could turn a normal day into a living hell. She'd smile in front of people, and the moment the door closed, that smile turned into pure hate. My sister and I used to hide in the closet whenever her footsteps echoed down the hallway. Sometimes she'd pull us out by the hair. Sometimes she'd just laugh, like our pain was her entertainment. When I was 2, my baby brother Mark was born. And like every little kid, I didn't like the idea of sharing my mother's attention. I acted out. Small tantrums, silly jealousy. But nothing that a little love couldn't fix. Except love was something my mother never knew how to give. Instead of teaching me patience or kindness, she called me a demon, a hell spawn. Those words stayed with me. Imagine being 2 years old and already being told you were never meant to exist. My grandparents tried to protect me. They told her I was just a child, that I'd learn, that I'd grow. But my mother didn't want to hear any of it. She packed my small clothes in a bag and sent me away. She said she couldn't handle me anymore. From that moment, I wasn't her son. I was a burden she wanted gone. My grandparents took me in and raised me with a love I had never known. They taught me to speak kindly, to respect others, to be a good brother, even if my own mother didn't want me. They told me that hate only destroys the one who carries it. And for a while I believed them. I really did. So, when I went back to visit my mother again, I wanted to show her I had changed, that I was no longer that angry little boy. But to her, I was still the same. She didn't see the child trying to be better. She only saw the one she had already thrown away. By then, she had 4 children. Mark and I with my father, and Sam and Alicia with her new husband. And somehow, she still found a way to make me feel like I didn't belong. At 13, when most kids are discovering who they are, I was discovering pain. My stepfather decided that any sign of individuality, any question I asked, any word he didn't like, deserved a beating. He'd hit me in front of her, and she would just watch. No tears, no reaction. Just cold, empty eyes. That was the moment something inside me began to change. The anger I had tried to bury came back. But this time, it wasn't childish anymore. It was sharp, controlled, patient. It whispered to me every night, "One day, they will feel everything they made you feel." That was the beginning of my revenge. And my mother, she didn't even realize she had just made her first mistake. By the time I turned 14, our house was filled with tension that no one dared to speak about. My stepfather's anger, my mother's silence, and the way the air felt heavy, like something bad was always waiting to happen. That day, my mother told Mark and me to watch over our little sister, Alicia. She was 2 years old, full of life, always laughing, always chasing butterflies in the yard. We loved her like our own heartbeat. For once, I felt like maybe I could be the big brother I always wanted to be. But life doesn't give warnings before it breaks you. My stepfather was inside, playing his video games, and my mother had gone to her room to sleep with baby Sam. Mark and I were sitting quietly when I suddenly realized something. The house was too quiet. I asked Mark, "Where's Alicia?" He looked at me with that innocent confusion, and in that second, panic hit me like lightning. We ran through every room, shouting her name. My stepfather got up, angry that we were making noise. But when he saw our faces, even he knew something was wrong. We searched the backyard, the garage, the garden. Every second felt like an hour. And then we heard it. My mother scream. I will never forget that sound for as long as I live. We rushed outside, and there she was, kneeling on the deck, crying, holding Alicia's small, lifeless body. Her tiny curls were wet, her face pale, and my stepfather was trying to do CPR with shaking hands. My father, who had been visiting that day, ran over and pulled us away. But I couldn't move. I just stared at the little sister I was supposed to protect. The ambulance came. They rushed her away. But deep inside, I already knew the truth. That night, they pulled the plug. Alicia was gone. And for the first time, I saw my mother cry. But even then, her tears didn't look like love. They looked like guilt. I blamed myself. Mark blamed himself. Two brothers, sitting in silence, believing we had killed our sister. Our grandparents held us and said, "It's not your fault. You're children. This isn't on you." But try telling that to two broken hearts. A week later, Child Protective Services came. My father filed for custody, saying she was unfit to be a mother. And he was right. He won, but it didn't last long. My grandparents believed we should stay with our mother. And somehow, she convinced everyone again. She always did. When we went back, I wasn't the same. The child in me had died with Alicia that day. And something darker was born. A quiet promise that one day, I would make my mother feel what I felt that night. That was her second mistake. After Alicia's death, nothing was ever the same again. Our house, once filled with screams, now felt completely silent. But it wasn't peace. It was emptiness. The kind that sits in your chest and never leaves. Mark and I stopped talking much. We didn't fight. We didn't laugh. We just existed, like two ghosts walking through the same nightmare. Mom, on the other hand, pretended everything was fine. She cleaned, cooked, smiled in front of guests. But behind that fake calmness, I could see her slipping further into her own darkness. Then one day it happened again. I was 18 now, finally old enough to understand how broken our family truly was. Mark was 15, full of potential, and still trying to find himself. He had broken his finger in a school fight, and because of that, he was prescribed strong pain medication. My mother was supposed to watch over him, make sure he didn't take too much, make sure he stayed safe. But she didn't. She was too busy living in her own little world, too lost in her misery to notice her son slipping away. One afternoon, my grandfather picked me up from school. He didn't say a word. His eyes looked hollow. When we reached home, I saw the flashing red and blue lights. Ambulance, police, chaos everywhere. And then I saw the stretcher. It was covered. And I didn't need anyone to tell me who it was. My brother, Mark, my best friend, my only companion left, was gone. A drug overdose. Because my mother couldn't care enough to watch him. Because she failed again. That was the moment everything inside me snapped. The sadness, the guilt, the fear. All of it turned into rage. Pure, burning rage. I didn't cry that day. I just stood there, watching them roll his body away. And I made a promise to myself. I would make her feel the pain she gave to everyone else. My father was furious. He started another custody battle, claiming she was unfit. And this time, I was on his side. Completely. The family split into two, her side and ours. And for the first time, I didn't care what happened to her. My mother had destroyed every good thing in our lives. 2 children dead, 1 taken away by CPS. And me, the only one left standing. Filled with hatred instead of love. She wasn't my mother anymore. She was the reason for every scar on my soul. So when I looked at her, all I saw was death. And all I felt was revenge. That was the moment I stopped being her son and became the shadow of everything she created. That night, I sat alone in the corner of the house, listening to every sound as if the walls themselves were whispering Daniel's name. Every memory replayed in my mind, his smile, his laughter, and the way he once called me Mom, with such innocence that my world felt complete. But now that world was shattered. The silence around me was heavier than words, and my heart carried the weight of every moment I had lost. Then, suddenly, I heard a faint knock at the door. My hands trembled as I opened it, and there stood the lawyer, holding a few documents in his hands. My heart started pounding again, this time with a flicker of hope. "Ma'am," he said softly, "Daniel left something for you." His wife wanted to make sure you got nothing, but Daniel had already arranged everything in your name. I have all the legal proof. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My hands shook as I took the papers, and tears blurred my vision. Every word written on those pages felt like Daniel was still looking after me, even from beyond this world. Then the lawyer handed me a letter, Daniel's handwriting. My heart broke all over again as I unfolded it.
Mom,
I want you to stay happy, no matter what happens. My love will always be with you, even when I'm gone. You'll never be alone. Not as long as you carry me in your heart. Tears rolled down my cheeks, but this time, they weren't just of pain. They carried peace too. I realized that love never truly dies. It lives in every heartbeat that remembers. Days later, I met Daniel's wife. She couldn't even look me in the eye. Her voice trembled as she said, "I'm sorry. I didn't know he had done all this." I looked at her calmly and said, "Life doesn't always go the way we plan it. But the truth, it always finds its way." From that day on, I started to live again, not for survival, but for meaning. Every morning, when I stood by the window and felt the sunlight on my face, I felt Daniel beside me. In every breath, every smile, every prayer, he was still there. I learned that pain may stay forever, but true love always wins. And I promised myself I will keep moving forward, no matter how heavy my heart feels, because that's what Daniel would have wanted. Life taught me that the road of truth and love is never easy, but the peace that comes at the end of it is worth every tear shed along the way.